Hi, and welcome to Libertarian Viewpoint. My name is Michael Puffer. Today, we're looking at non-governmental solutions to today's problems. Joining us today in a roundtable discussion, we have three members of Tea Parties across Minnesota. First of all, we have Wes Whitby, Sue Biken, and Walter Scott Hudson. Thank you for coming today.
You're welcome.
Wes, if you wouldn't mind starting it off, tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got interested in the Tea Party movement.
Well, I was not involved in any type of movement or anything other than my everyday working life. But I saw the things in our government that were going on, such as the out-of-control spending and these career politicians that think that they know what's better for we the people than we the people know for ourselves. And at that point, I said, there must be something I can do. So I started looking for a way to get involved, and about that time, the Tea Party started getting created. So I got involved in that and became active in that and became a coordinator, coordinating get-togethers and meetups with like-minded people so that we could discuss ways to be involved and to effectively help change things for the better as I see them. As far as controlling the spending or trying to limit it in our government, because after all, that's our money, we the people. Yes.
Sue, can you tell us a little bit about your background and how you got involved in the Tea Party movement?
Sure. I had always listened to conservative radio for about 20 years. I was, of course, listened to Rush and knew his viewpoints on conservatism, but I never took it any further than that. As a mother and as a working person, always busy working or having children stuff going on, this last year, a year ago, this last April, I get a phone call from one of my friends, and she said, Sue, you know the condition our country is in. Do you want to be part of what they're calling a Tea Party? And I said, yeah, but when is the meeting? And she says, like tonight. Can you come? I said, absolutely, I'll be there. So that was the beginning. And then I got more involved, and I actually helped start forming the Mille Lacs Tea Party Patriots, and we've been going ever since. So that's been over a year ago now.
Great.
Restate the question.
Walter, can you tell us a little bit about your background and your involvement in the Tea Party?
Sure, absolutely. I think I started out pretty much where most citizens are. I was aware of what was going on. I was listening to the news. I was listening to talk radio like Sue did. And I was actually involved in blogging back in 2004 during that election season. And I thought of myself as pretty active. But in reality, what I was doing is just kind of barking at the radio and shouting at the TV and not really doing anything to affect the process. I wasn't involved in caucusing. I wasn't involved in voting in primaries. I just showed up every 2 to 4 years to have my say in the general election like most people do, and thought that was the extent of my civic duty. Then in 2009, I attended the Tax Day Tea Party in St. Paul on the steps of the Capitol, and there were two themes that emerged from the speakers that were at that event. One was the extent to which the folks who were in attendance were people who had never come out to a rally before. Several speakers asked, how many people have never been to a rally or been to any kind of protest before? And I would estimate about half the hands went up, mine included. I had never come out for a rally or a protest or held a sign. I still haven't held a sign, but I'd never attended a rally before. And the second theme that emerged from that day was the necessity to do something beyond attending a rally. The message was reiterated that you can't just go home and expect that having shown up to a rally changed something or did something. You have to actually take action. And so I really took that to heart, and I went home, and I had kind of had in the back of my head an idea for doing a podcast, and so I started a podcast, And I started blogging again. I got my own website running. And but again, these are things that are involving just getting your voice out there and commenting on what's going on. I think that activism really started when I went to caucus in February, and I started to meet people who are more active in the political process, and I started to attend the Mille Lacs County Tea Party Patriots meetings and saw how active they were in actually monitoring what was going on in their local municipalities and school boards and whatnot, and they were actually trying to affect change, and that inspired me to start a similar group. Now I'm a local coordinator for the Minnesota CD3 Tea Party Patriots. We're just getting off the ground, as many groups are, and I think the Tea Party movement in Minnesota is about to really take off.
Good, good. I want to ask each of you if there was one incident or one specific topic that really hit home with you, that made you want to get off the couch or attend more than just one rally. I'll start with you, Wes. Was there one topic or one particular incident in the news that made you really say, that's enough, I'm going to do something?
I'm glad you asked me that question, because I think if I could think of one thing that really bothers me about the whole situation, is the fact that our elected officials passing legislation without reading the bills. That really, really irks me to no end. And I just have to say, the devil is always in the details with any contract or anything. And when you're talking about a bill being ready to be made into law, if you're going to pass that bill, I think you should read it first. And that is the one thing when they passed the stimulus the first time, the TARP bailouts, and they didn't read it and they just passed it. That has put me on the path of being activated, to becoming an active citizen, to doing everything I can to affect a positive change.
Great,
Yes,
great.
sir.
Sue, what about you?
I think Wes just stole my thunder, actually, but that was my first realization back in 2008 when President Bush signed the first TARP bill and then the stimulus bill. That enraged me because I knew that the taxpayer was going to be put on the hook for this. And we have no way of paying for it. But yet the politicians continue and continue to pass bills without reading them, without having the monies to pay for these bills. And I believe that that's when I got really angry. And then we would hear that not only weren't they reading these bills, but they weren't listening to the plea of the people. And at that point, I was ready for the Tea Party.
Good. Walter, what about you? Was there one particular news item or something you saw that just said, this is enough?
There absolutely was. I was a little slower on the uptake than Wes and Sue. However, I would like to just point out before I get into what my issue was, that what they're speaking to started in the Bush administration with TARP. And so the characterization of the Tea Party movement as a reaction to Obama being elected is a little bit disingenuous. These are issues which reach back into the previous administration and are bipartisanly irresponsible. My pet issue is civil rights, particularly when it came to the health care bill and selling the health care bill, and this assertion that to me seemed to go completely unchallenged, that health care is a fundamental human right that each person is entitled to. That's something that irks me personally, because I happen to have pretty strong feelings about what inalienable rights are versus what civil rights are. Civil rights are constructs of the state and essentially tools. And like any tool, like a hammer, you can use it properly to pound a nail, or you can use it improperly to smash in somebody's skull. And a civil right is very similar. You can craft civil rights which uphold inalienable rights, uphold our liberty, or you can craft civil rights which are destructive to inalienable rights and harmful to our liberty. And that's what I perceived the argument for the health care bill to be, an argument to craft a civil right which in fact infringes upon the liberty of producers, who have to actually come up with the substance to sustain everyone who's suddenly entitled to this created right.
Great, Great, that's very well said, very well said. Sue, what in the Tea Party do you see that has made a difference since the Tea Party movement? I believe it started in February of 08, 09, I think, February 09. What have you seen that the Tea Party's been able to accomplish?
Oh, that's a great question, Mike. One of the first things that comes to mind is with the Tea Party effort and the strength in numbers that we have, we actually waylaid the voting on the health care bill by many months. And had it not been for the activism of the Tea Party patriots, we would have long had this bill passed. And so that to me is probably one of the biggest achievements of the Tea Party movement. We also have them on the run. And so candidates know we're going to hold their feet to the fire. No longer are we going to take their abuse on the people of this United States. They work for us, and they have forgotten that. But we're here to remind them.
Good.